The storm swept across the city like a living creature, howling, violent, and full of warning. Lightning split the sky. Thunder cracked like the earth was breaking open, and rain hammered the windows of Marlon's diner so hard the old neon sign buzzed in protest. Welcome back to my channel, Classic Stories. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Now, let's dive into the story. Inside, the diner was unusually silent. Just one man sat in the corner booth. Rowan Hail, a single father surviving paycheck to paycheck. A man whose hands were rough from labor and whose eyes held a kind of exhaustion only life could carve into someone. He hadn't treated himself to a warm breakfast in weeks. Every extra dollar always ended up buying something for his little girl, Mira. But today, after scraping together enough leftover coins, he had bought one simple meal, a plate of eggs, toast, and hash browns. It felt like luxury, something he deserved, something he needed. He raised his fork, and the diner door exploded open. A blast of icy wind rushed inside, spraying raindrops across the floor. The figure who stumbled through the doorway looked like a shadow torn from the storm itself. A woman, soaked from head to toe, hair tangled, clothes ripped, barely able to stand. She didn't walk. She collapsed into the room, one trembling hand clutching the doorframe for balance. Rowan stared, frozen. Even from across the diner, he could see the terror in her eyes. Not fear of the storm, but fear of something else. Something worse. The waitress hurried toward her. "Oh, honey, come, sit, let me help you." The woman's lips parted, shaking violently. "Help, please," she whispered, her voice so faint it felt like it might break apart. Rowan's heart cracked open instantly. He didn't know her, but he recognized that look. He had seen it in people who had nothing left, not even hope. Before the waitress could guide her to a table, Rowan stood up. "She can sit here." The waitress nodded gratefully and helped the woman into Rowan's booth. Her fragile frame sank into the seat, her breath sharp and uneven as she hugged her arms around herself. Rowan took one look at her, the trembling, the empty eyes, the mud on her legs, and pushed his warm plate toward her. "Hey," he said gently, "eat." Her eyes widened, confused and afraid. I shouldn't take your food," she whispered. "You should," Rowan replied. "Please." For a moment she just stared at him, as if trying to make sense of kindness. Then, with shaking fingers, she picked up the sandwich and took a small bite. The moment her lips touched the food, something inside her crumbled. She ate faster, and faster, as if she was scared the food might vanish if she slowed down. Tears slipped down her cheeks, silently, uncontrollably. Rowan looked away, giving her privacy, pretending not to notice how broken she looked. When she finally finished, she set the empty plate down with trembling hands and whispered, "Thank you." Rowan gave her a gentle nod. "It's okay. You're safe here." Safe. The word seemed to hit her like a physical force. Her head lifted slowly, eyes meeting his, dark, glistening, full of terror but searching for something solid. "My name is—" She swallowed hard. "Erevan. But ARA is fine." "I'm Rowan," he said softly. The storm roared outside, but inside the diner, a strange calm settled over them. ARA realized she was still shivering. Rowan noticed too. Without thinking, he slid off his jacket and draped it around her shoulders. Her breath caught. "You don't have to." "I know," Rowan said, "but you're freezing." She held the jacket tightly, closing her eyes for a moment, sinking into its warmth. It was the first time she had relaxed since stepping through the door. "Why were you out in that storm?" Rowan asked, his voice gentle. ARA's entire body stiffened. Her eyes shifted to the window, to the street outside. Then she whispered, "Because someone was chasing me." Lightning cracked. Rowan's heartbeat stopped. And in that moment, he realized this woman's story wasn't just sad. It was dangerous. And fate had placed it directly in front of him. Rowan's breath caught as ARA's words hung in the air. "Someone was chasing me." The storm outside seemed to quiet for a moment, as if listening. Rowan leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "AR, who was chasing you?" Her fingers tightened around the jacket he'd placed on her shoulders. She didn't look at him. She stared at her own trembling hands, as though the answer lived in the spaces between her fingers. "I can't say," she whispered. "It's complicated." Rowan didn't push. He could see she was fighting something inside, fear, memories, maybe danger still lurking. But he could also see something else. Trust. A flicker of it. A tiny spark she wasn't ready to name yet. The waitress approached with a fresh cup of tea, setting it gently in front of ARA. "Hey, sweetie, warm up." ARA wrapped her hands around the cup, like it was the only stable thing in her world. Rowan watched her closely. He didn't understand what had happened to her, but something deep in his chest tightened, not in fear, but in protectiveness. A quiet instinct rising. "Stay. Help her. Be here." He cleared his throat softly. "ARA, do you have somewhere you can go? Someone who can help you?" Her breathing hitched at the question. Slowly, she shook her head. "No," she whispered. "I can't go back. I can't trust anyone. Not in the mall." Her voice cracked, fragile but honest. Rowan exhaled, leaning back. "You can trust me." She looked up, really looked. Her eyes studied him, searching for deceit, judgment, pity, but all she found was warmth and steady patience. For a moment, the fear softened. "Why are you being so kind to me?" she asked. Rowan blinked, surprised by the question. He didn't have an impressive answer. He didn't have money. He didn't have influence. He was just a struggling father trying to get through life day by day. But he had a heart. And sometimes that was enough. "Because someone should be," he said simply. ARA's lips parted slightly, stunned by the sincerity. Her eyes glistened again, but not from fear this time. A faint, fragile connection formed between them. The first thread of something neither expected. But it broke when the diner door rattled violently. Both of them flinched. A tall shadow pressed against the fog glass from outside, distorted by the rain. ARA froze. Her grip tightened on Rowan's jacket, knuckles turning white. Rowan noticed instantly. "ARA," he murmured. Her face had gone pale. So pale she looked like she might faint. No, not here," she breathed, panic rising so fast it stole her voice. Rowan stood, positioning himself slightly in front of her without thinking, an instinct as natural as breathing. The shadow outside shifted. A hand touched the glass. Then slowly, it moved on. ARA collapsed back into the booth, shaking uncontrollably. Taze threatened to spill again, but she forced him down. Rowan sat beside her, lowering his voice. "Whoever that was, you're safe. He's gone." ARA pressed a hand over her heart, trying to steady it. "It looked like him," she whispered. "He's been looking for me. I thought I lost him." "Who?" Rowan asked gently, her eyes filled with fresh terror. "The man who wants to ruin me." The air in the diner felt colder suddenly. Darker. Rowan didn't know who that man was. But he knew this. He would not let ARA face him alone. He placed a hand near Hayes, not touching, but close enough for her to feel warmth. "You're not alone anymore," he said softly. ARA looked at him through trembling lashes, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and a spark of something warmer. Maybe hope, maybe something more. But they both knew one thing. Danger wasn't done with her yet, and Rowan, unintentionally, had stepped into her storm. ARA's breath vanished the moment she saw the dark figure watching the apartment from across the street. A shadow under an umbrella, unmoving, intentional, waiting. Her heart slammed against her ribs. "No, Rowan, he found me." Rowan rushed to her side, steadying her shoulders. "ARA, look at me," he said softly yet firmly. "You're not alone this time." Her hands trembled so violently that he cupped them between his palms, grounding her. "Who is he?" Rowan asked gently. ARA swallowed hard. "His name is Darius. He tried to control my work, my life. When I refused to stay with him, he became someone I didn't recognize. I ran. I've been running for weeks." Rowan felt heat rise in his chest, anger, protectiveness, something fiercer than he'd ever felt. ARA looked up at him, eyes wet. "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't have brought danger to you or your daughter." "ARA," Rowan cut in, brushing a loose strand of wet hair behind her ear. "You didn't bring danger here. He did, and I won't let him take anything from you again." Her breath hitched at the tenderness in his touch. For the first time that night, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt seen, protected, held in the presence of someone who truly cared. Rowan stepped closer, voice low. "We're calling the police. Tonight it ends." ARA nodded, trembling. Just as Rowan picked up his phone, the figure across the street began moving, slow, confident steps toward the building. ARA gasped. Rowan put an arm around her instantly. "Stay behind me." A firm knock echoed through the hallway downstairs. The police arrived. 2 officers reached Rowan's door, and ARA explained everything. Her escape, the threats, the night she hid in bus stations and empty buildings. One officer nodded. We've received multiple reports on this man. You're not the only one who's been following. We've been trying to locate him. A second knock came from the stairwell. This time, sharp, urgent. An officer opened the building door below, hands where I can see them. ARA ran to the window just in time to see Darius being pinned to the police car, shouting her name like a curse. Rowan stepped beside her. Is that him? ARA nodded, shaking. It's over. It's actually over. Her knees buckled. Rowan caught her gently, guiding her to sit. She leaned into him, not because she was weak, but because for the first time in weeks, she could. Her voice broke. Rowan, I didn't think I'd survive this. He pulled her closer, his hand resting over hers. You're safe now. I promise. ARA looked up at him, their faces inches apart. For the first time since she stepped into the diner, her eyes shone not with fear, but with something warm, something that belonged only to him. Thank you, she whispered, for everything, for not leaving. I wasn't going to, Rowan murmured. She leaned her forehead against his. Why not? He took a breath. Because the truth was simple, yet terrifying. Because I care about you. His voice barely above a whisper. And I don't want you to disappear from my life. ARA closed her eyes, tears slipping silently. I care about you too, she whispered. More than I should, considering how we met. Rowan smiled softly. Maybe the storm brought you to the right place. ARA let out a shaky laugh, her first real laugh in months, and rested her hand on his chest. I think you're the first person who made me feel safe again, she said. Rowan lifted her chin gently. You deserve a life without fear, and if you'll let me, I'd like to be part of that life. ARA's breath trembled, not from terror this time, but from a fragile, blooming hope. She nodded. I want that too, Rowan, more than anything. Outside, police car lights flashed across the window. Inside, the storm finally quieted, and for the first time in a long, terrifying journey, ARA felt like she had found a home, not a place, a person, Rowan. And as she curled into him, his arm wrapping protectively around her, she knew with certainty her life had changed the moment he gave her his breakfast. And now, she was ready to start again, with him,